Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Bloods, the only Cardinal podcast more horrifying than Miles Mikolas when he can't locate his fastball. My name is Spooky Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben the Sludge Samorka.
Hey, Nate.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS.
Wow. That was spooky.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. HALLOWEEN spells Halloween.
Ooh, did you just make that up?
Yeah, yep.
Man, that was a real spooky opener we had.
My God, yeah. Who was that guy?
Well, I guess it was Spooky Nate Heininger, but I'm here now.
Yeah, I forgot. He said exactly.
He introduced himself.
Yeah, that's very polite. I appreciate that about him.
Hopefully we don't get any more visits from that guy, though.
That would be great if we could, just no more.
Yeah. I know you traditionally hate holidays, but I think you've got a tiny... Well, I guess this is the perfect...
What were you about to say there? A tiny what?
Well, I was going to say you've got a tiny space carved out in your small black heart for Halloween, but then I realized as I was saying that like your lack of heart and soul and just and warmth is quite fitting for Halloween. So this must be
it's on brand. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I maybe unsurprisingly, I love Halloween. I think it's great. Unfortunately, I do not live in a neighborhood that is my neighborhood is mostly like people who have been in their house since before I was born or people my age.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of children. So I don't get to do. I would love to be the house that hands out full size candy bars.
I know.
And all that, but I am not that house. But I love Halloween. I love the vibe. I like how everybody makes their houses look like shit this time of year, just covered in cobwebs and dead people hanging out.
Right.
I love all of it. I'm here for it. Of course I love it. It's my vibe.
Did you do any sort of costume? Are you doing any?
No, I haven't done a costume for a number of years. I have a Wayne's World hat, and sometimes I'll just put on some like light colored jeans and a black t-shirt and pretend I'm Wayne from Wayne's World. But no, I'm not a big costume guy. I've never really been a big costume guy, to be totally honest. But I love it. I'm pro it. I'm just like, can't be bothered all that much to do it.
Well, I imagine you're pretty used to just like people running and screaming when you enter into a space. And so like putting on a costume would, I don't know. I guess maybe that might help though.
Oh, okay. So are you implying that I am grotesque and monster-like?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
This mug? Look at this. Look at
good podcast. Ben's just smiling, wide mouth smiling straight into the barrel of the camera.
I'm just this is all I got.
Well, I did a costume this year. I'm gonna see if you can guess who it is, but I want you.
I already saw a picture of it. Sorry.
Don't be confused. I'm just gonna barrel ahead. Don't be confused because it might sound a little bit like John Mazalak.
Yeah, it's Kermit the Frog. I saw a picture. Your lovely wife posted photos online. I viewed them. And I believe she was Miss Piggy, which is cute.
Ultimately, we decided to go in a different direction.
You should have done this show in your Mozeliak Kermit.
I thought about it.
You're just wearing a stupid shirt.
It's like a pretty regular shirt.
I don't know. I can see way too much of your chest. It is revealing.
Blinded.
Is it a décolletage? What is it?
What? Décolletage?
It's it's a fancy word for cleavage. What is it called?
I think it's that, but now I don't know. You're going to look up a word that you just don't know how to pronounce, and I'm not sure that the internet's going to help you.
Decolletage. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but it is decolletage. So I nailed it.
Yeah,
I know.
Got it in
I'm
one.
classy.
Got it in one. Well, speaking of Halloween, I did see something that was right up your alley this past week that I wanted to tell you about, and I think you have something that you wanted to share too. But so Molly and I went to Chicago for a couple days to go see a concert that we were excited to go see, a band that we really like, and
rock and roll music.
Yeah, it was a little rock and roll music. It's a band called the Go Team. I don't know how much you ever really liked them, but their lead vocalist was doing a lot of high kicks. It was a lot of fun.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How high?
Pretty high, higher than I could do, which is not.
I was going to say you might be the least flexible.
Yeah, that's not much of an accomplishment. Actually, at a Halloween thing, me and friend of the show, the guy who did our sound for the show, our music,
what up, Chris?
We were seeing if I could high kick him in the face. And
I'm guessing you didn't even get close. Chris is tall.
He's tall.
That'd be a challenge.
Yeah. No, I mean, if we're going up like an Altuve, I'm landing a high kick. Probably.
I honestly don't think you could.
Don't know,
you are built like the Tin Man. Like I don't think you can do this.
Oreo. I'm just,
unfortunately, the one thing that isn't super tight is your goddamn mouth flapping all the time.
Shut up. So we went to we did a bunch of fun stuff in Chicago. Fuck the Cubs, etc. But we had a good time in Chicago, and we went to the Art Institute of Chicago, which was awesome. And you go in, it's a beautiful building, very famous art museum, and like the first thing we see is a sign and like a direction to go into this side room, and it's an art installation called Clown Torture.
Oh.
And we're like,
yikes.
Huh, okay, yeah, sure. Let's go check out Clown Torture. It sounds interesting. Sure, yeah. Surely this will be not exactly what it sounds like it is. And we go in, and sure enough, Hambone, it's precisely what it sounds like.
What else would it be?
I don't know. I guess I went in pretty open-minded, but it was 4 screens, 2 large ones on your left and your right, and 2 smaller ones like directly in front of you, with just a loop of clowns screaming and performing strange torture-like things. It was quite off-putting. I figured this might be just like what your bedroom is like on a normal day, but like for me, it was quite unsettling. But I don't know. I don't know if there's stuff of it online. I mean, it's definitely. Yeah, I don't want to get all.
I'm nervous to type in clown torture.
I know. I don't know that I would either. But I mean, I've been. I get it. I know it's the type of like performance art, staged art that is like purposefully supposed to make you feel uncomfortable and things like that. It was very, very effective and very bizarre, and quite a welcome to this museum where for the rest of the trip we're mostly looking at like Monets and things of that nature.
I really hope that didn't awaken anything in you.
Well, I went back and, I found I was able to meditate. I really found myself in there.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were went to the clown district in downtown Chicago and just started.
Yeah, started. And I'll show you clown torture. Oh, spooky. Nate's back. But yeah, it was horrible, but I think that's obviously part of the point.
Yeah.
But I just love that it's like, so Molly and I went in and we didn't stay long. We were in there for like, a couple minutes where you're like, all right, I get it. And we walked out.
You ate lunch, sat around.
Yeah. Had a smoothie. But we walked out, and this other woman who was by herself walked in, and we were like then starting to read the sign that like was about the art installation and everything. And she did what I can only imagine was basically the like Grandpa Simpson, like walk into the room, take off the hat, turn around, put the hat back on, and walk right out. Because she basically did exactly that. Walked into the room and was out of there in like a half.
I get it. It's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Just okay.
Respect.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So anyway, I thought you might enjoy that. So if you find yourself in Chicago at some point, you can go and see some clowns being tortured.
I got to book the travel. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So it's been quite the spooky week.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are out there, man.
This is our Halloween episode. This is coming out on Halloween.
I don't know. So I wanted to share this because I thought that you would think it's funny. I don't know if it's necessarily spooky or not.
Okay.
But me and the boys went to the Buckhorn Exchange restaurant in Denver, Colorado last Friday.
What is the Buckhorn Exchange restaurant?
So it's a very famous restaurant in Colorado. It was established in 1893. It has like over 900 pieces of taxidermy throughout the walls. As they were walking us to our chairs, they pointed out I think it was a mountain lion that Teddy Roosevelt killed that they have on their wall, like over their entrance door. They also pointed out a stuffed a taxidermy monkey that they had on the wall that escaped from the Denver Zoo at one point, which I was honestly horrified by. But it's a very famous steakhouse, and they are also famous for, I don't know if they're invented, but they made famous the Rocky Mountain oysters.
Okay, I know where this is going.
So I ate them. It's a legendary place. I had never been. So like I said,
last week we talked about famous balls. This week we're talking about
edible balls. I guess
edibles.
So I had a pretty average meal, but our appetizer was Rocky Mountain oysters, and I'm just here. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would ever order it again. It was weird dipping it in tartar sauce.
Tartar sauce. You dip them in tartar sauce.
They treat them they treat them like fried oysters.
That seems insane to me. I would have expected barbecue sauce or something like that.
Yeah, it was tartar sauce and cocktail sauce, and I thought the tartar sauce was working better. But it was bizarre. I was sitting behind a rack of guns. I had a very average steak. It was way overpriced. Yeah. That was the spookiest thing about the dinner is that bill when it came. Am I right, guys?
What is this, a phone number?
What? Damn it. But yeah, it's I don't know if anybody who is not in the Denver or Colorado area will give a shit about that, but I did it. I finally did it.
Finally.
I earned my wings.
Yeah.
My testicles.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
What a experience. Yeah, I guess if like
you would eat them, I know, you sick bastard.
I'm a creature of momentum. Like I would never be the one who's like, "Hey, we gotta go do this."
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Well, I wanted to go to the restaurant, and then they didn't. So I was really looking forward to the fried rattlesnake. Is something else that's big on the menu, and I wanted to get the rattlesnake. Apparently, it's not in season right now because apparently there's a rattlesnake season. So we shifted to the oysters. I went that way. I
guess I wouldn't have expected people like out there hunting live rattlesnakes to fulfill a restaurant's quota.
I didn't ask any follow-up questions, but she just said it's out of season. Yeah.
So
we are where we are.
So you went there to get rattlesnake, and there was no rattlesnake available.
Yeah, well, and a steak. I wanted to do the thing. I wanted to act like Teddy Roosevelt back in the day. Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I probably would if I was there with you, but I definitely would not be seeking them out.
Yeah. It wasn't great. It was exactly what you would think it would be.
Yeah, I'm so I know it's a thing. It's been a thing forever. I guess I would have expected it to maybe be slightly enjoyable for people to keep doing it, or is it purely like the bit? Like this whole thing is a bit.
I mean, people are weird. I'm sure people like them, but you can have better food.
Sure.
I don't think it's like an acquired taste or anything. I think it's just like, it is what it is. And either you like it or you don't. Yeah. And it's not like a delicacy. It's not like, oh man, I was shocked by how luxurious the testicle meat was.
Silky smooth. Yeah.
But I felt vigorous and strong that night.
Yeah. That's, then they hand you your gun.
Yep.
And you go find something for the taxidermy wall.
That's right.
If you eat too much, though, you find yourself up on that wall.
What?
I don't know. I've been this whole time I've been thinking of finding a way to say that they're going to taxidermy you, and I just sort of went for it there.
Yeah.
Piece of
I
shit.
mean, I think I would look, pretty fine on that wall next to a couple of mountain lions.
Yeah. It certainly makes
Actually, put me by the monkey that escaped the zoo.
it'd make a lot of us happy at the very
The
least.
fact that they bragged about that, I found so strange. Monkeys are so smart and like they're like little people. But they're like, yep,
Got him.
got him, dumbass.
Cool guys. Proud of you, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely did not feel like I fit in there.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Thanks for reporting back. Hey, if you're out there listening and you have eaten something weird, let us know. We're in peak Cardinal off season. Not a lot of Cardinal news going on right now, though we do have a little bit to talk about.
Oh, this is a packed show, Nate. I don't know what you're talking about. We got a lot to get to.
It's always a packed show, but I did want to talk about, you want to talk about it as well. I am absolutely hilariously brazen fan interference that happened at the World Series game last night has been cracking me up all day. If you didn't see it, it's a foul ball. Mookie Betts making a play on it. He catches it.
An amazing play.
An amazing play. We love Mookie Betts. And full extension, glove going into the crowd, and a Yankees fan grabs the glove and basically pries it open to pull the ball out. I've never seen such clear, like purposeful fan interference. I get it when it's like at the wall and a bunch of people are trying to catch a home run ball and like it can happen and it can be completely innocuous. But this trying to pry open a glove, pretty funny.
And then his buddy, I don't know if you saw this in the replay. His buddy is grabbing Mookie Betts' other arm that doesn't have a ball in it, like holding it back.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, they said they've interviewed these guys now, and they said they've had, because they're season ticket holders, and they said they have had, like, this was premeditated. They said they've had conversations that if it came to it and they had an opportunity to help the Yankees, they would take it. As if it wouldn't be the most obvious.
How would they think that? Now, if you reach over and cause fan interference or something like that, and then it's up to the umpire's discretion and stuff like that, that is how a fan could possibly interact with the game. But he already made the catch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's dumb as hell. It's
obviously these people are idiots.
Yeah.
And they like don't understand the game, but they're season ticket holders.
No,
they're just very stupid.
I think it's like just adrenaline. Like they've had it in their heads forever. If they have a chance to commit fan interference, they're going to go for it. Suddenly, magically, in the World Series, it happens.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to get this ball, and then their dumb monkey brains take over and they start grabbing at it. Like lizard brain, get ball, get ball, get ball.
Yeah. I am so not that type of person. I can't even conceive it. Like, it boggles the mind how that could first off be a conversation that you actually are like, no, we are doing that. How you could want to do that. And then also like, maybe I'm too much of a rule follower when it comes to these things, but then I feel like they're probably not going to be allowed back in Yankee Stadium. I feel like MLB is going to get involved with this.
Well, I've seen, I agree with you. First of all, like, I mean, me personally, I'm like not even like aware the ball's coming at me. I'm probably getting hit in the face by it before I'm actually getting a chance to interfere with it. But
that's you, dog.
Like I definitely am not actively trying to interfere in the game. But they did, they got ejected from the game. And then they were told at the moment that they'd be allowed back for game 5 because they are season ticket holders. But it does seem like, and this is all this is, still kind of coming out. We're in our normal recording schedule. So this is Wednesday afternoon. Maybe there's even been an update since we've started, but like, it does look like now they're not going to be allowed to be there for game 5 either. Which might be a safety thing for themselves too.
Honestly, they're going to get their asses kicked. I cannot believe they did an interview and dropped their names. Like LA fans are nuts. I wouldn't be doing that. But again, maybe I'm over precautious. And then another thing, and again, maybe I'm overreacting to this and maybe I just love Mookie Betts too much and everything like that. But you have Mookie Betts running, jumping, making a play into the stands, and then you have people grabbing and twisting and jerking on. Like, what if Mookie Betts cracks his rib, his wrist, his finger? Like, so what if something like that happens? It's like, again, maybe I'm being too precious with this whole thing, but I find it insane.
Well, Betts was pissed, and
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Honestly, me, Benny Samorka, walking around, if somebody just starts grabbing my hand and trying to take something out of it, I would be way more pissed than Mookie Betts was on national TV in the World Series.
Yeah.
So, like, I would have gone nuts.
He handled it about as professionally as you can. I mean, he was screaming, and then a bunch of people got involved and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, grabbing a dude. I mean, he's not like, he's obviously jacked out of his mind, but he's not like a big guy compared to it. So someone like grabbing his wrist and pulling it back like that while he's at full speed momentum, yeah, absolutely could have hurt him. But I mean, I suspect like these guys, what was the guy doing grabbing the other arm? Like, I don't know. I think they might have been, mission accomplished if he did get hurt.
If they had any awareness, they would have tried to make a play on the ball so that Mookie couldn't catch it, rather than it's the after the fact nature of what they did. It's so
well, it's what makes it so obvious and brazen, right? To try to pry open a glove and grab the ball out of it. Yeah.
He did. He flung it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a moron. Couple of morons.
I wonder if they're like New York heroes now. You know what I mean?
I would not be surprised if
we
there
love
is
this
a
guy.
large. Now, I want to see kind of the inverse happen. If this series makes its way back to LA, I want to see somebody try to do that to Aaron Judge, and then like he accidentally curls them onto the field because he is a Goliath.
Just him flicking his wrist to bring the ball back and slings a guy like 30 yards.
A Dodgers fan skips across the turf because obviously they are built very differently. But I don't know what goes through your mind. It's insanity to me.
Yeah. Well, they're at the very least they missed out on what I assume were some incredibly expensive tickets and quite a good game if you're a Yankees fan too.
Yeah.
So they missed out on that. But yeah, I mean, they've certainly etched themselves into some degree of Yankee lore at this point. So maybe that's all that they really wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about them, I guess, on a Cardinals podcast. So they did something.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, this is a Cardinal podcast, so let's get into some of the Cardinal stuff that we want to talk about today. There is, it's a organizational overhaul, so we are getting bits and pieces about the changes and where things are going. And we also have the AFL happening.
We do.
So let's start with the organizational stuff, though.
Yeah, I want to talk, Katie Wu, who we love and does great reporting, had an interesting article this week that I thought would be interesting to talk about. A couple of snippets that I think are relevant. And I'm just going to read one of those snippets from the article. It says, in years prior, the Cardinals operated player development and player performance completely separately. Now, Mikolas and Bloom will prioritize the two departments working in tandem. This is a quote from Mikolas. We had both in the past, but they were almost siloed in their departments. What we really want to do is become like one, where it's a much more collaborative strategy than two departments running parallel paths, but not really optimizing what both parties bring to the table. Now, end quote. Now, I think there is a way to read that. And I think if I had read that quote a month ago or 6 months ago or whatever, I think I would have been pretty fired up.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is that they're saying these things out loud. They're making changes to it. And while that seems really obvious, I think to anybody who works in like a medium to small business or really works in general, like obviously communication is the name of the game. It's how departments work well together.
Right.
It's how an organization is run smoothly. But I'm not going to be mad about it because they named the thing. They're trying to fix it. They realize their past mistakes were stupid. And not to hit on the Robert Cifolio thing too hard, but a compliment that I have heard about and read about the Guardians and Indians organizations really since Terry Francona came over to that team is that, and it sounds very clear to me, like he was the one that set the set the vibe on how communication should work is that there is a direct line from the dugout to the front office and throughout the entire organization. Everybody is talking to everybody, like shared calendar, shared documentation. Everybody is on the same page. And if the Cardinals new brain trust are speaking that way for bringing somebody in from the Guardians organization, that's something that Bloom and Mo are prioritizing. I'm going to not be negative, and I'm just going to feel really good about progress and not being dumb anymore.
Yeah. I have the exact same feeling, actually. Like, I was reading this whole thing, and I wanted to kind of be angry about it, at first, because that's been sort of the predominant feeling through all of this. But I am very much ready to move past that feeling and just get excited about this and recognize that this is what we've been asking for as fans. Some far more transparency about what's working and what's not working, and at least a target of solving it. I mean, it's absolutely insane to me that you could get to a point where player development and player performance were two distinct things that weren't talking to each other. Like, I'm trying to think how that what did they even mean by that? And so that is like such a fundamentally flawed system that I'm confused. Like, I'm just confused at how they got there, but it is what it is, and they're moving on from it now. It certainly seems that is a problem, and I am glad that they are working to fix it.
I will say, a lot of people, especially people like us who have a podcast that like to talk about these kinds of things, we're always like, oh, I could be a GM. I could do this kind of stuff. But, oh, really? I don't know. I mean, Jose, he's worked his way to get here. Uh-huh. He's got the bona fides, so on and so forth. But I do read something like this and I'm like, well, I know that much. I know how important streamlining communication between an organization is, especially with two arms that should be walking along the same path together. So it in a weird way I'm like, oh, maybe I could turn the Rockies around. Maybe I could.
I feel like I need an example to even understand what they mean by saying player development and player performance were separate, because
it's not a big front office. Who like
what is the difference between player performance? So like one guy is looking at how many home runs they hit and the other guy's looking at the swing, but they're not looking at, like, the guy who's working on the swing isn't checking the box score, I guess. I don't know how how you have those two things separate.
I mean, to me, it sounds like there are probably redundant kind of resources on both sides, and they're just kind of going their own way, and they're not really collaborating on data and information and methodologies. To me, it sounds like this group is going off and doing this thing. This group is going off and doing this thing. And like, they see each other at the Christmas party.
Yeah. So like someone's in player development. So they're like guys in AA, and they say, all right, we're sending him up to AAA, and AAA is like, hey, we got a new guy. Let's find out about this guy.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. I mean, shit, Nate, we talked about that several times. How many times did the Major League Club get a look at X player, Jordan Walker, whoever, and say, oh, wait, he's not doing that thing that we really need him to do up here.
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
We didn't know the front office has been playing who is this guy every time they call up a prospect.
And like, we've talked about this, and I got to hit it one more time because it is actually infuriating. But the fact that the entire organization doesn't exactly understand the way in which Jordan Walker's game works and goes, like how he goes about it, you should go to jail. You should be in jail.
What's that? Correa?
For a long time.
Go hang out with former Cardinals front office member Correa, who's in prison for hacking them.
Oh yeah. Put him in baseball jail, wherever that guy is, some white collar prison somewhere. Yeah. Mozeliak went on to say it never got to the point where we felt it was running 100% in terms of collaboration. Creating a structure that will almost mandate that, I think, will be very helpful. So again, I think I liked that because it was, I think using the word mandate, making that top to bottom collaboration, communication, just be a part of the fabric of the organization. Again, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, duh, but they're doing the thing that we need them to do. So I'm digging it.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, at least, I guess, baseball and organizations have, Moneyball, that was 20 something years ago at this point. Just the rate of change in technology, adaptation, resources, all of that has been astronomical. And we absolutely would love for the Cardinals to have been at the top of that. But they also, it's sort of the victim of your own success. They were kind of peaking from the old system at the point when everybody else was, not everybody else, but the teams that are now very successful today were in the process of converting. And so you suddenly look around and you're completely left behind. You're saying, well, we were just in the NLCS. We like, this is still working. And so you can understand the human element of it. Like it, if it's working, don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so much of baseball, but sports in general, it's like lagging indicators. You don't really realize how fucked you are until you've 2 losing seasons in a row, or one losing season and one unsuccessful season. So I try to be like empathetic to like the people that are doing the job here, because it's tough and there's literally billions of dollars being spent in like being competitive. But yeah, sometimes you hear these problems, you're like, well, sure, okay, even if you don't recognize the bigger picture of the problems, you'd like to think how do you not recognize this stuff? But for an incredibly long time in baseball, coaching staffs, front office organizations were like 20 people. So you didn't really have to worry about this like huge organization level communication that you have to worry about now.
Yeah, I think like if you're kind of on the fence, if you're out there and you're on the fence on Chaim Bloom, I think something that you should be excited about is a counter to that point. The Rays pedigree. The Rays are always the team that are kind of having the edge. They're always trying to find the new thing and not getting complacent, even when they have World Series appearances or they're winning the AL East or whatever it might be. So, I'm hopeful that is what Bloom and Serfolio and the rest of the people who end up taking these jobs are going to bring. And I think that can be true. And we can also be done with the Mozeliak, at the same, it's all fine, I guess is where I'm coming from. He did his thing well for a long time. It got old and now we're looking for something new and I'm excited about it.
Like ideally all this change would have happened 3-4 years ago, but it is what it is. And I'm in a way I am like, this has already been fun. This is a new type of Cardinal experience, right? Like,
it is.
If you're a big fan of the sport of baseball and the process of building an organization, this is a cool time. Like obviously I would much rather than be winning 95 games and competing in October and all that. Like, don't get me wrong, I would not trade that. I would trade that for this any day. But just because we're not necessarily expecting to win in 25 doesn't mean it can't still be an interesting, enjoyable experience.
Yeah. Speaking of new, the Cardinals announced that they plan to hire 6 field coordinators before the season starts, including three of those pitching coordinators, 3 of those hitting coordinators. So we're going to get back up to around the middle end of what the rest of the teams at baseball have. My assumption is that they don't want to bring too many people on at one time, have these people come in, maybe hire their own people or expand as needed. But the fact that they're, again, immediately addressing a huge problem that we all learned about only a few weeks ago, I'm really on board with this. And I think that this seems like something where the impact is going to be felt immediately. You just see so often young players, like a lot of the players that the Cardinals have in the organization right now, can be 1 or 2 adjustments away from being effective major league players. And I still believe in all the, I believe in Gorman. I believe in Walker. I believe in Burleson. There's a lot of talent that you could see making that little adjustment, that swing change, or having a little extra attention in spring training. And I'm not saying these guys are all going to be all-stars, but focusing on their improvement, investing in their improvement and their future is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Agree completely. So I guess we'll see.
So the Cardinals are obviously not expected to exercise Lance Lynn's 1 year, $11 million option for 2025 or Keenan Middleton's 1 year, $6 million deal. The Cardinals could bring back, they are apparently flirting with the idea of bringing back Kyle Gibson for $12 million. But Katie goes on to write that would almost guarantee the club trades either Miles Mikolas or Steven Matz. Miles being owed $17.6 million next year, and Steven Matz being owed $12.5 million. I guess, we kind of talked about the idea of keeping Gibby around and flipping him at some point. Maybe it's in spring training when somebody else gets hurt on a different team that's competitive. Maybe it's at the trade deadline. I think that we're generally on board with that if the Cardinals can hop on opportunity. Yeah. What do you think the possibility of trading Miles Mikolas and Steven Matz even are?
It feels very, very low. Miles Mikolas owed just over almost $18 million next year. So I suspect if this is going to happen, it's going to be one of two ways. It's going to be the Cardinals trade him for virtually nothing and eat a bunch of the contract, or they trade him and a relatively well-regarded prospect to a team who's willing to take the full contract and are basically buying the good prospect from us. Neither of which I really like, because if the Cardinals were intending to compete in 2025, I'd say great. Okay, let's take the hit today to free up $18 million and go spend it on a bat, an arm, whatever it may be, short-term resources. Since we know, even though they're saying, hey, you never know, we know they're not going to actively try to win in 2025. I'm sure they all hope that they do. We all hope that it's one of those miraculous bounce back seasons, but
it could be. There is a non-zero chance that the next year's team could outperform this year's team.
Totally.
I don't think that's high.
And I don't think that organization should bank on that. And so I worry about just a pure salary dump trade as a fan of watching the team next year. It just feels bad to just like give up on that. That said, I also kind of don't think Miles Mikolas should be pitching for the Cardinals next year, and so it's a tricky balance. Like, you'd love to find some unicorn trade where a team actually values him and you trade him for a kind of interesting prospect and you pay $9 million of his deal or something like that, and you actually get something interesting in return for Mikolas. But I think that's unlikely, and you're pretty much going to have to pay another team to take him. I know we talk about his underlying metrics, all that. He does 200 innings, all that. Like, there's value in him, but I just can't imagine any competing team looking at Miles Mikolas and that money and thinking that's the solution to our starting rotation problem. He's not trending up.
No.
So I have a feeling that we're going to have Miles Mikolas next year. And the best case scenario is that he has like a total bounce back first half of the season and they manage to trade him at the deadline to a team that's competing, or like they move him to the bullpen or something.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to go to the bullpen.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to figure it out. I think he's going to pitch about 180 really mediocre innings, and then he's going to retire.
Yeah.
And that'll be fine because he's made the bag, and we had some good times with him.
Yeah, we love Miles Mikolas.
I do think
this is always. It's the tricky part of any baseball career. It always ends in grief.
Cowboy up, partner.
Yep.
I do think Steven Matz. While there might be some people who are going to call me an idiot for saying this, I do think that he has some trade value. I think that there are teams like the Rays, like the Dodgers, who look at players like Steven Matz and think we only need to get 100 innings from him.
Right.
And maybe we could tweak his pitch mix a little bit. And if he's healthy at the right time, we can leverage him and probably don't have to give the Cardinals all that much to get him. I think that he is probably the most likely of that group to be traded.
Yeah.
I think that the Cardinals will be willing to trade him, of course, because he has no real value for the team. And he's taking up one of those really nice rotation spots. I think outside of those two players, and those are the two players that Katie Wu called out, Eric Fetty to me rings like the most likely guy. Obviously he didn't have a great end of the year, but he had a really solid year, all's told. He obviously had interest coming over from Japan originally, and he's cheap for a starting pitcher next year. If he's your 3 or 4 option for a decent team, that seems like the guy to move for me, and go get somebody young or whatever it might be.
Could you imagine? There's this guy. He's been totally breaking out in the playoffs. He was batting cleanup for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
If the Cardinals could get Tommy Edman for Eric Fetty.
I think the Cardinals are one Tommy Edman away from a championship.
I think they are too. Yeah.
Man, he's been so good.
It's crazy. He just keeps it going. It's awesome.
He's that guy.
Yep.
Apparently.
But yeah, I mean, I think of Fetty and Gray in similar camps. I mean, Gray, you have 2 years of control, so you could argue that it makes more sense for the Cardinals to keep Gray because they could compete in 26 and it'd be fun to have him at the top of the rotation. But I don't know. We don't really know what these next 2 years are going to look like. And if you can get a good return for either of them,
well,
just pull the trigger.
I think Gray is, if I'm sitting here and I'm being shrewd baseball GM, I think Gray makes a lot of sense to trade. But Gray wanted to come here.
Yeah.
He chose it. He's got a good salary. He has a full no trade clause. So maybe he just won't.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wants to be here and be with the guys and be close to home and do the Cardinals thing and stick around and, have his option exercised and in his career here. I really don't know what to expect there. I will say, reading this article, Katie kind of ended it with saying that Mo obviously had that conversation with Paul Goldschmidt and he'd be having conversations with other players across the org. It would not shock me to see Nolan Arenado traded.
Yeah.
And for him to want to go be on a winner or a team that's competitive or is acting competitive. She didn't say that.
Right.
It just kind of was the vibe that I got reading it and the way that Mo and her were kind of I don't know. But I'm feeling it a little bit right now. I know it's early, but that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. I've said this before, but I certainly hope not. There's obviously a trade out there that makes me very excited for the future of the Cardinals that involves Nolan Arenado. But I don't know. I want to watch Nolan Arenado as a St. Louis Cardinal for as long as possible.
Yeah. I don't know how patient he's going to be, but we'll see.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's only so much he has control over that.
It is. Although, I mean, he got out of Colorado.
Yeah, but he has already come out and said this is not the same as Colorado. I think he knows probably what that might do to his reputation too if he starts coming out complaining about this also.
Yeah.
And also he didn't put up 7 WAR like he did with the Rockies every year. It's one thing to be a Hall of Fame player on a shit team. It's another thing to be a good player, but ultimately underperforming expectations on an average team.
Yeah. He's a fine player, Nathan. He's a fine young man.
Wow.
A couple important dates that I thought would be worth calling out. November 22nd is the last day for teams to offer 2025 contracts to unsigned players on their 40-man rosters. And I can't believe we're already talking about this, but December 8th to 11th are the winter meetings in Dallas. And I think...
Hope they go better than last year.
I hope they go better than last year. I mean, I expect it to be rip roaring. I don't know if it's going to be going down, but I think a lot of work for the Cardinals...
Yeah.
breakdown or whatever the hell was going to happen is going to start really soon.
You remember last year though, it was canceled early because everyone shit themselves.
Yes. It was like a bad Chipotle or something, right?
Something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disgusting. We should go this year.
I prefer to do that in the comfort of my own home. I guess you could just go to them and just hang out in the hotel, I guess.
How hard would it be to get a press pass?
I feel probably not that easy.
I think we could do it.
I don't know. Cut
Cut this out of the episode. We're gonna do it. All right. So yeah, just wanted to call that out. That those things are happening. We're at the end of October now, which is also insane. It's cold here today. I had to unplug my unplug. I had to unscrew my my hoses. Nathan,
Oh my
freeze
goodness.
warning.
It's like in the 80s today because
We got a freeze warning, Nathan.
What? Well, you're all the way up in those mountains eating bull balls.
Everybody's worried about the cold canceling slutty Halloween costumes.
That's cancel culture.
But even if it's cold, I still will wear revealing clothing.
Of course.
Clothing. I will not let that stop me. Yeah, flaunt it.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's move on to there's a little bit of player news update on the AFL players. Old Tommy Sags, Thomas the JC, is down there leading the world in on-base percentage. He has a 561 on-base percentage. Of course, it's only 2 weeks. It's 12 games. Not a lot of action, but he has 12 walks against 9 strikeouts. He also has 18 hits in those 12 games. So the man is on fire. The fact that he is walking at that rate, it seems pretty obvious that the Cardinals asked him to improve his eye because that seemed to be the only real weak spot in his game. I'm not saying the player's fixed. I'm not saying that he has this in his back pocket now, but I can only judge him off the games that are being played right now, and he's playing like a madman.
Yeah. Well, K to strikeout to walk ratio, KBB ratio, is a huge tell of someone's, I think, plate approach and altogether comfort, and I think it's a pretty good predictor of future performance. And so to see a 12 walks against 9 strikeouts is absolutely massive. And then not to mention 18 hits in 12 games. So
how does he have even that much time to do all that? Like there's not enough plate appearances.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
So, I mean, 561 is absolutely wild. Yes. 12 games, et cetera, but still he's doing the best of anyone. And that's what, I don't know what more you could ask for.
I don't know what more. I do have another correction. Wow. This is back-to-back weeks with a correction. Wow. And boy, oh boy, does it piss me off.
Ben's got, you have egg on your face. Please proceed with your correction.
More like caviar. Got him.
What? The eggs are caviar?
Yeah, it's fancy.
Boy, do I have caviar on my face. Is that what billionaires say when they do something embarrassing? They don't even know what eggs are.
Okay, so I think, and actually, I got to shout out Kyle because he corrected us on this 2 weeks ago, but I didn't have anything to talk about with this player, so I ignored it. But then he started doing something important, so now I have to correct myself. But we are calling him Ivan or Ixon or something like that. Henderson. Kyle Reese reached out to us and told us how stupid we are, and his name is pronounced E-Sean.
Yeah.
E-Sean. So I'd like to clear that up. That's our correction. E-Sean Henderson is this guy's name. His first name is spelled I-X-A-N. So I apologize, but we're now there. E-Sean has pitched really well in the AFL. He's got 8 1/3 innings. He's rocking a 1.08 ERA with 11 strikeouts. And this kid is young. Mm-hmm. So very exciting, high-level competition. He's coming out as a reliever. And E-Sean is killing it.
Yeah.
He's turning some heads, and this guy was not even on my radar 3 weeks ago. So pretty exciting.
It's part of the fun of the AFL. And yeah, thanks, Kyle. Never would have guessed E-Sean, and never would I have assumed that any of us on this show would have done the research to get it right the first time. So thanks, Kyle.
You delivered that in a way that gave me the heebie-jeebies. Oh, fuck. All right. We kind of already dropped this, but I think, there's a couple, there's 3 really prominent former Cardinals in the World Series right now. Obviously, Luke Weaver is doing his thing. We'll see if the Yankees can stay alive. We mentioned it, but Tommy Edman has been the guy for the Dodgers. If not for Freddie Freeman homering every single day, he would be the MVP. He's got a 12-17 OPS right now in the World Series. And then it should also be noted that Jack Flaherty, if Jack Flaherty has a dominant start tonight, which you'll already know because this episode's being posted on Thursday, he could be in competition for the World Series MVP as well.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not going to be mad about this. I'm going to take the high road and be happy for our former Cardinals, these players who we all love and watch come up and everything like that. But isn't it funny? Isn't it funny?
Isn't it funny?
I'll just say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it, don't we, folks? Good for Jack.
Sure.
I think Freeman, assuming this series ends in the next game or two, and there isn't some insane heroics from Edman, or assuming Flaherty isn't there a complete game shutout or something, I think Freeman has pretty much already won World Series MVP. This is all a horrible thing to talk about the day. It might be over by the time this episode comes out, but I think Freeman's pretty much walking away with it. There was a little discussion in the Bird Scored about is this sealing Freeman's Hall of Fame of resume? What do you think?
I think I probably already would have voted for him to go into the Hall of Fame. I also expect him to have a couple more years at a similar level. But I think that this ironclads the argument. They are very likely to win a World Series. He's very likely to win his second World Series. He is very likely to be the MVP of this World Series. And I cannot remember if he won World Series MVP back in 2021 against Houston, but I do remember him being dominant in that World Series as well. So I don't think postseason performance gets anybody into the Hall of Fame, but I do think that it makes it inarguable. It is a great finisher.
Yeah, they always look for the narratives to layer on top of incredible careers, and if you can have the World Series champion and especially World Series MVP sort of narrative laid on top of your excellent career already, it just makes it a slam dunk for everyone, because there's always those chodes who will be like, oh yeah, he was good, but he never won a World Series or whatever. Mike Trout is gonna miss a Hall of Fame vote because some fucking dingus in South Florida or something is gonna be like, well, he couldn't do it when it mattered or whatever, and he's gonna lose a vote. And so this just makes it more, I think you said, ironclad.
I just want to repeat chode and dingus. Man, in South Florida, just getting strays on this conversation for absolutely no reason. But all right, Nate coming from the top row.
I feel like I kept it as nice as I possibly could.
Oh, that was classy. It's been very classy. It's been spooky, but it's also been classy. All right, Nate, that's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well, if you like this show and want to support it, we would love to tell you about our Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. It's a great way to support the show and the time and effort we put in to bring it to you every single week, which we are going to continue all throughout the offseason and into 2025. So there's perks and cool stuff for subscribers. The one that we talk about the most, because it's the most fun, is the access to our private Discord server, the Bird Scored. It's a great place to chat with other Cardinal fans and listeners of the show, and just get away from the noise of trash social media and spend it with some other cool people. In another couple months, we'll start recruiting for the Fantasy Baseball League. And last year we did a movie night over the offseason where we watched a really awesome, horrible baseball movie. So we'll have to start planning something like that again soon. And, it's a fun place. So we truly appreciate all the support that we have. And if you're considering joining, we appreciate that too. We also would love it if you'd tell your friends and family about this show. We're heading into the holiday season. Great time to rant and rave about the 2024 Cardinals and hope and dream about the 2025 and beyond. And maybe you, mention us and how stupid the show is, but maybe it helps you digest the season a little bit more. So you can also leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. That does help us. Hambone, where else can people find us?
Yeah, you can follow us on all the socials. We're on Twitter at Talk About Birds. We're on Instagram at Talking About Birds. You can find us on TikTok as well. If you prefer to listen to the show on Spotify or YouTube, you can find us over there. You can email us directly at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, as always, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
Yes. All right. Not a lot. We've been covering the playoffs in this segment of the show for the last month, and not a lot more to say because ultimately it's been a pretty boring World Series. Last night spiced it up.
That's kind of my hot take.
Yeah.
This has been a bad World Series.
Yeah.
Last night obviously added. I'm really hoping that the Yankees can turn it around and bring it back to LA. Again, once you hear this, you'll already know the answer to that. But I would say like games 2 and 3, a couple of stinkers.
Yeah.
And I've been watching every pitch and why am I doing this? It's been one of those. I've complained a couple of times in the Bird Scored and on Twitter, and I think everyone's kind of feeling it.
Yeah.
But Garrett Cole is really good.
Yeah.
I think I've said this a couple of times during this playoffs. I think that he's arguably the best pitcher in baseball. And probably the pitcher, like that question of like, if you need to win one game, whose number are you calling?
Yeah.
And I probably calling Garrett Cole. I mean, obviously Tarek Skubal had the best year of any pitcher, but I think like chips are down. The clock is out.
The
clock
bell
is
tolls. Out. That's what they say.
I think I'm calling Garrett Cole. I think he's the dude, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable. I think, there's definitely other names that you could throw in the conversation, but
if the clock was out, I'm going Garrett Cole.
Man, that's a really cool vocal line you just did there and everything. I just really liked
Thanks.
it.
I've been practicing.
But yeah, I think it's been kind of boring. I really hope that they come back. It's also funny that, of course, like when we get these two superpowers, the two biggest markets in baseball, that the series is kind of turning out to be a bit of a stinker. It'd be really cool if it was a lot more exciting, but it's all good.
It still can be. But obviously at this point, the Dodgers are heavy favorites. Score 1 for Nate. You fool. And
I'm not breaking any news here, but the only time in the history of the playoffs that anybody has come back from 3-0 is the Boston Red Sox when they came back, beat the Yankees in the CS, and then, of course, as we all remember, stomped on the Cardinals as if we weren't even here.
Yep.
Which, by the way, there's a documentary about that whole experience on Netflix that just dropped in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think
I'm planning on watching.
We've discussed watching it for this show and doing a bit on it.
Maybe hate watch it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it, but I guess I will.
Yeah. But it could happen. It's highly unlikely. I mean, when they say it's never happened to the World Series, there's also not a huge sample size of that. There's only one World Series per year, so
and it has to go 3-0
at some point.
And then I will say that I am very glad that Ohtani did not get hurt in that second game. It's not that he's necessarily been crushing it in the World Series, but what a bummer that would have been had he finally joins a team that's good, finally makes the playoffs, makes a World Series, and then misses the whole thing. So I'm glad he's playing. The Yankees Judge has just been bad, and the Dodgers are walking Soto to get the Judge, and it just keeps working. So
Judge arguably one of the best players in baseball, and he just looks like he's pressing.
Yeah.
And he's had his whole playoffs have been bad,
and they have been his entire. He just surpassed like 200 at bats in the playoffs, and he has a sub 200 batting average. Like he's just been bad in the playoffs, and it's continuing this year.
Yeah, so I don't know if it is pressing, if it's a mental thing, if he's just worn down. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs his Wheaties a little bit more than he normally does. I don't know, but it would be really fun to see Judge go off maybe tonight or tomorrow, and for this to become a real fun series.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a bummer so far.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. we've got just a few items of league news here, as the league is mostly focused on the World Series right now.
Yeah, the White Sox have announced that they are hiring Will Venable, former San Diego Padre and outfielder, utility player, as their new manager. Obviously, this means that Daniel Descalso and Skip Schumacher are no longer in the running, which is probably good. Will Venable, one of those names that's been tossed around. He almost got the Cubs job. There's a couple of other jobs that he almost got. He's kind of been one of those guys for a while. But everyone has good things to say about him. Maybe he can begin the turnaround.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's hard not to say poor guy, but you gotta feel like, no matter what, next year's going to be better for the White Sox, right? So maybe it's a good first
if they had
gig.
the same team as 2024 and 2025, I would think the team would be better.
Yeah. So it might be
there's just no
gig.
way it could go as bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
What if they set the record again next year?
Well, it's also funny because Reinsdorf is talking about selling the team. We'll see if that's bullshit or if that's actually going to happen. I don't know. Yeah, what if they set the record again? I mean, it could happen, I guess. I don't know.
One thing that happened last week is we finished recording our episode. This happens sometimes. It's been a little while since we've had one this clear, but last week you and I chatted for quite a while during this segment about the White Sox possibly moving to another team or to another city. And literally an hour after we got done recording, a article dropped that Manfred confirmed that the White Sox are staying in Chicago. So
I know you dropped that. I read the article. I'm still calling bullshit. I'm not going to believe anything that's coming out of those people's mouths until the rubber hits the road.
That is fair. I mean, we saw that,
especially if Reinsdorf sells the team.
Yeah, that is fair.
But you wouldn't say that they're leaving in the winter, because then the 8 people that show up to White Sox games would stop showing up.
Yeah.
So it would be just a bad business move to telegraph that now.
We were lied to daily as Rams fans, and I know the Athletics have gone through a similar thing. Though usually it's coming from the ownership and not from the commissioner of the league. But I know what you're saying, and yeah, that's fair. If the team is sold, it's a completely new situation.
Yeah. And also I'm not a Reinsdorf fan, so I think he could do anything and it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
All right. Last piece of news I wanted to talk about. It was announced in an article in The Athletic that U.S.-based Women's Professional Baseball League is set to debut in 2026. I don't know a lot about this league right now, but it is coming. It's coming. It'll be a professional league, and it is going to be a baseball league, not a softball league, which I'm really excited about because I don't really understand softball, and I probably am just ignorant of it because I just don't know the game that well. But I never understood why we had 2 separate games and that were gendered. So if somebody could explain that to me, I would love to know. But I like that it's baseball. I also feel like maybe this league will be popular. Maybe it will not be popular. But it seems like a very good way for the line of talent, like somebody who's really performing well in the Women's Pro Baseball League, to come to Major League Baseball and to break that glass ceiling, which I think is going to happen in our lifetime, and I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And you're right; it gives a more clearer path for someone to showcase their skills. Yeah, super excited about it. I don't. It's an interesting question about the history of the development and the differences between softball and baseball. I don't really know anything about that. If there's anyone out there that can point us in the direction of that, I'd be interested in learning. My daughter plays baseball. She's 7. And already there are she plays on a co-ed team, and she's pretty much the only girl on the team because softball is also already available. And, I think probably most of the girls are playing that already at that age. I don't predict her to be a long-time athlete, but she is certainly enjoying it, and I would be interested to learn more about the differences.
Yeah, she's got too much of you in her to take it all the way.
Shut up. I played until I was 13.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And you were great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They used to call me Good Eye because I was afraid of everything and I just wouldn't swing. And since it was player pitch and we were all bad, I got walked all the time.
Yeah, that's a strategy.
The great irony too that it was called Good Eye.
Yeah, that's not your strength.
Not my strength.
All right, ADH, that's all I got for league news.
Okay. We're going to wrap this up with a classic game, Ben. We're going to play Would You Rather Halloween Edition.
Oh, wow.
I've got a list of questions here. We're going to go back and forth between baseball-related questions and some spooky Halloween questions. And you got to tell me. Okay?
All right. I really wish I had some candy right now.
What's your favorite candy?
Oh shit. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, Nate. I like chocolate. I like the sweets. I really like Swedish Fish.
I like sugar.
Kit Kats. Kit Kats are dope.
Had some
Take fives.
I had some gummy nerd clusters over the weekend.
Oh, gummy nerd clusters are the
They're
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a real adult. I bought some for my little trip.
I like Reese's.
Reese's.
Yeah, I don't know. I also like anything with chocolate and mint. So give me a York peppermint patty. I'll go ham on that.
Okay. Ooh, go ham on a peppermint.
Yeah, you get it.
Sounds like a horrible combo.
You get
peppermint ham.
Peppermint ham. That sounds like something that existed in the 40s.
Just like a candy cane wrapped in a slice of ham. All right, let's get into this ham bone. Let's start with a baseball one. Would you rather the Cardinals win the World Series in the next 10 years and miss the playoffs in every other year? You don't know what year it's going to be, but it'll happen once. Or they make the playoffs in every year for the next 6 years, but we don't really like the outcome will just play out.
Damn. Oh, nothing's guaranteed is all you're saying?
Yeah. So total boomer bust, World Series or nothing, or like moderate success with the standard playoff chances of winning.
I think I have to go with moderate success with the standard chances of winning in the playoffs, just because playoff baseball is so good. I watch every single game, and I understand flags fly forever, and that's great. But 9 years of non-competitive baseball compared to 1 of World Series winning baseball sounds miserable to me. I would much rather get my hopes up, be in it every year, and get crushed than have that one moment in the sun. Because I think, we've watched a couple of bad teams in back-to-back years, and there's not a lot. It's fun to win. I guess I'll say that. Especially, I spend a lot of time in the regular season. I like winning in the regular season.
Yeah, I think I agree. All right. Would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf?
Wow. Okay. Did they live forever?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Yeah. Now,
does a lycanthrope live forever?
Yeah, you could look that up. I will say, even without that, I think I'd probably go vampire, even though that means I can't eat bull testicles anymore or drink anything or anything like that. Go out in the sun. The idea of living for a very long time and then also, getting to live off blood sounds really attractive.
Usually werewolves are given a normal human lifespan.
Yeah, give me that vamp life. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to get in.
I feel like I'd wear like dope coats and everything.
What I was gonna say. I want I want like the weird, like I want chandeliers and like all of I have a gate with spikes around it, and my house is just 100% wrought iron.
Also, I have a lot of hobbies. I feel like I could fill my time up. I could go to night baseball games. There's a lot of things I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a werewolf, you like essentially lose control. Is it on the full moon?
Yes.
Yeah. That doesn't sound good.
There seems to be very little plus side to a werewolf.
It's more like a curse.
Yeah. Although, I mean, a vampire, you also have to murder people consistently too. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That sounds bad.
Oh no. I live forever and I have to kill people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder who I would start with.
Would you rather the Cardinals extend Mason Wynn or Jordan Walker and this is assuming right now the Cardinals can probably get Walker for cheaper and maybe even
Cheap.
longer.
Yeah.
Let's actually just assume you get Wynn or you get Walker at like cheaper than Wynn.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now?
I think while I have all the faith in the world in Jordan Walker, and I think that he'll figure it out, Mason Wynn is doing it now, and he plays a premium defensive position. And his arrow is only pointed up. Walker could do that. Oftentimes, big bodied guys, long levered guys, it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jordan Walker surpasses Mason Wynn. But if I have to make a call right now today, I'm going with Wynn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a question of risk reward, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like you're getting a bad product with extending Wynn. I think he's like the guy we're all calling for to be extended right now.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the shortstop. He's fun.
Yeah.
He's charming. He's good. He's fast. I mean, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Would you rather be able to fly like a witch on a broomstick or transform into a black cat?
Oh, fly like a witch on a broomstick or transform into a black cat. Now, transforming into a black cat would be really cool because I own a black cat and I could just go hang out with Jeffy and do Jeffy things. So that part would be really sick. But flying around, it's a huge benefit there.
Yeah.
Run my groceries.
What if I told you when you
errands.
turn into a black cat, you also get to talk to other cats?
Yeah, being able to hang out and chat with Jeffrey would be huge. Also, I have little Edie sitting on my lap right now, but being a black cat like Jeffrey would be cool. I think, I can get around, right? I can hop on an airplane.
Sure.
I can hop in a car. I can do this. I can do that. I cannot talk to my little son, my little black cat son,
is my boy.
Jeffrey. I think I'm going with the cat.
It's not the popular pick, I bet, but it's a great choice. I think
right?
Probably turning into a cat also.
Also, like the game's on. I just want to turn into cat mode and lounge hard, pay attention to the game, and kind of sleep.
Run onto the field, become a rally cat.
That would be awesome. Also, like, I'm not a great sleeper. If I could have one night sleeping like these little idiots, I think my life would be changed.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. I'll do one last one for you.
All right.
Would you rather the Cardinals trade Sonny Gray for a strong package, like you're really happy with the return, or they sign Corbin Burns to a 6-year deal worth a lot of money?
Yeah. How quick are the Cardinals going to be relevant? So we would have both of them. You have Corbin Burns. That's a tough one, Nate. They don't make them like Corbin Burns, and we're probably not going to develop anyone like Corbin Burns. And that's not a slight to anybody. That's just, there's just not many of those guys out there. And I think he is a top 5, top 8 pitcher in baseball. I want to win, right? I think I'm going Corbin Burns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to win. I want to watch good players. It's probably not the smartest move, but that's what I want.
Okay. Yeah. I think I agree. I mean, it really is.
Like, are the Cardinals going to be good again in the next 6 years? Probably.
But again, if you get a really good return for Sonny Gray and you get 2 or 3 guys that are very good, it could expedite that even more.
It could. Yeah.
And also Corbin Burns is past 30, so
he is.
Yeah.
No, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm Corbin Burns.
Okay.
I want good players.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably the dumb move.
It would be fun also to beat the Brewers a couple times with Corbin Burns.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you, everyone, as always, for joining, for being here, for listening every week. Again, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Tell your friends, tell your family. We appreciate you. And I guess we'll be back next week as always. And until then, I'm going to keep it going. Hambo, and I'm going to say, let's go, Tommy Edman.
Let's go, Luke Weaver. Bye.
Okay, I'm doing an extreme bit to start this out, so
Oh,
get
God.
ready. Hopefully I can get it in one so I don't look even more like an idiot. All right. You ready?
Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Bloods. My name... Damn it. Oh, man. You laughing made me laugh.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were going to do.
All right. Let me try again.